Given that you've been on this journey now with your colleagues for 15 years, clearly you've learnt a lot on the way. What would be the insights, what would you share with your fellow industry leaders as well as the production communities sort of listening today in terms of the learnings that would be most valuable to them in terms of shaping their choices?
Well, look, I think first of all, as an issue for our industry to lead on, I think in one sense it's almost the perfect issue. Relatively our own carbon footprints would typically be quite small if you think of them in the broader spectrum of sort of business and impact. So we're not big mining companies. We don't have typically very large operational footprints. So actually, I think relatively it's an issue that we can all act upon, and have an effect on, because it's reasonably controllable, I think. And then the second thing is, I think it's an issue that is so relevant to voice and the power of our industry's collective voice. I don't think we really appreciate how powerful that could be. So I think that's very relevant to all of us in the industry as well, and that's sort of been our experience as we've really sought to engage with our customers, to use our broadcast channels in all of their shape and form, to use the great marketing machine of Sky to communicate. We've found that we can really change or drive engagement and change people's behaviours. So we use the phrase a lot in Sky now, an idea of sort of from inspiration to participation. And this idea that we can inspire, engage with people, inform them, and then that can lead to them getting more involved and changing their behaviour, I think is the most powerful thing. And I've learned that a lot, more than I thought, that if anything has proved to be easier than I thought at the outset. And then the final thing, which has been a huge positive, is just how that's had a positive impact internally. And how employees, I think if you talk to most Sky employees, it would be one of the things that they are proudest about when they talk about our business. The fact that we have a point of view, that we act upon that point of view, and that we don't just talk about it, we know that change starts at home, and that we have to be the change that we want to see ourselves, and we are unequivocal on that, and that we try and drive it through our business every day. So I think the goodwill you can get from employees can be very strong. So it can help your employee brand, I think, as well as the broader contribution that you make with customers. And
of all the topics, quite uniting as
very
well,
much so.
Rather than dividing, which is...
I mean, to me, the idea of any business, anyway, the idea that we're a part of any form of collective, big or small, it has this sort of sense of mission, underneath it, however we articulate it, this sense of sort of togetherness. And actually, people who work at Sky, we all work for some core reasons that attract us to Sky, and the same thing will be true in your company or ITV or Channel 4, and they may all be slightly different, but actually there's something that draws people to organisations, and I think this is can be one of those things that pulls together people who broadly share similar values and have often the same mindset. So it's a bit like a stream, it's the easiest way is to be in the flow of the stream, not trying to cut across it. And it feels to me this can be part of the flow of the stream of this industry, I would hope.
And great to be at Edinburgh discussing it as one of those topics that we're all here together, whether we're a production community, freelance producer, right through to a CEO of an industry, that the bigger goal sits above everybody, rather than it being a competitive thing, which often drives kind of...
I think that's really true. I think so much of kind of business life is often the competition, the sort of short-term fight for who's up, who's down, who's winning, who's losing, who's got the eyeballs, all that sort of stuff. But the idea of why we can't unite and work on things together, I think is very powerful. One of the things that I also do is I chair an organisation called Business in the Community. And we've done a lot of research with people generally about how they think about business, and big business in particular, but business generally. And what comes back consistently all the time are three things. The first thing is they want to see businesses do more for young people. And I think this idea of, the next generation, our age group has sort of been the golden generation, and we've had so much given to us, largely for free. And we've had almost unlimited resource and the ability to do so many things. So what happens to the next generation? So they'll talk a lot about that. The second thing people will talk about is the environment. Just discreetly. People get it, they understand it, they live it every day. They can appreciate and understand climate change and air quality and biodiversity decline very, very well. And then the third thing, and I think is often the most interesting piece, is they want to see businesses work together. They're slightly tired, I think, of this idea of businesses sort of only doing their own thing and sort of seeking to get advantage in these areas because they are bigger than business. So I think if you can combine some of those things, if we can be seen to work together towards a common goal as opposed to an individual goal, I think that's a very, very powerful thought for people. And I think it's one of the ways that we can also help to just start to reset some of the perception around business, that we're not always just in it for ourselves. Yeah. That we can be in it for a greater good, and actually we can compete, but we can work together at the same time. And what's wrong with that?
Yeah, for a shared goal, why not?
Correct.
and sort of looking at that, then looking at from a government perspective, which obviously has the overarching view, their targets are set for 2050.
Yes.
Do you feel they could be doing more to support the media sector in these initiatives? And if so, where would you kind of put the spotlight to help drive change quicker, given that there is a clock ticking in that regards?
My experience, I have to say, is a bit different. I think all of the interactions I've had with ministers for different governments over many years is that they really want to make a difference. They want to make a change. But they often don't really know how to be effective, and they can't do it in a vacuum. And I think we often see when policy is set as a vacuum, how ineffective it can be. So I think it's incumbent upon us to step into that and seek to help government rather than expect government always just to come to us in business to help them provide smarter solutions and smarter policy. And I think if we don't do that, policy will get made in a bit of a vacuum, and then we'll not be that happy about it. Well, we've got to roll our sleeves up, I think, and engage more. Personally, I'd like to see us as a nation go a bit faster than 2050. It feels quite a long time away for me, and set some targets that are even faster than that. But they've got to be backed up by the right plans that give us a reasonable hope we're going to be able to do it, because we've not been short of big declarations in the environmental area. What we've been short of is the actions to back those up, to get to the goals. So we've got COP26 now is next year. I think that's a big opportunity for business. It's going to be a big showcase here in the UK. What a great opportunity for many of us to show, what we're going to be doing in support of our national goal. And use that as a big statement about the UK and business in the UK. I think it would be a great opportunity for everyone. Yeah.
We've talked a little bit about how Sky and other organisations have done technological innovation to get carbon usage down, how we can change our behaviours. But of course, most of us come to work to make films, great content. And it'd be great just to get your thoughts on the power really of content to be used in a proactive way to sort of obviously educate, inform, but ultimately how to change hearts and minds and the value of that as we all kind of venture on this journey.
Yeah. I mean, to me, it's the golden key to the golden door, right? It's, if you stand back from our industry, still people are consuming, I don't know how many hours of TV, each and every day. On the whole, most of us, have reasonably predictable schedules. We kind of go to work or do what we do, and then we watch TV in the evening, or we watch our iPad or our iPhone, and we're consuming content. So this is a great way for us all to engage and use what we're great at and our skills to bring that to life. I think we've got to be more definite as an industry on some of the conundrums and choices and stark realities. I mean, if I would be I know you've spoken on this. If I'd be critical a bit on some nature programming, I think too often what's the phrase, bleach out, some of the environmental impacts. And I think we've got to be more definite on that. From our point of view, that's one of the reasons why Sky News, for example, you firmly believe that this is one of the big news stories for the next 20, 30 years, and have taken such a position to explore the consequence of environmental change in all of its forms. Sky News is a trusted, impartial news authority that investigates the stories that really matter. You have got absolute certainty, to go after that, and I know that's one of their intentions to do that. We've recently launched Sky Nature, which fortuitously, I think, we launched just at the start of lockdown. And we've certainly seen a kind of a desire among customers to engage in the natural world and to understand that a bit more. So we're very pleased with the results that we've got through Sky Nature. And of course, that can showcase a lot of our own programming, but it also can showcase programming for others. I know we're going to be working with Steve Batchell on a lot of new programming. And so I think it's just a great way for us to refresh, to engage, to inform people. And it's what we're good at, so why wouldn't we push ever harder into that? And that can be part of our contribution. And we can combine this idea of a social good together with a business good at the same time.